Thank you so much, Max, for that lovely introduction. You know more about me than I do know about myself, so thank you very, very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I know we are between us and drinks, so we really appreciate you staying and listening to us. And just delighted to be here, so a super big thank you to Pip and Sparrow and the Italian team here. It really is a pleasure to be here. And more importantly, because I have this incredible panel with me, and it's an honor to welcome you all. Very, very big welcome. So I thought I can read about Olivia, Khanh, Anthony, but I thought I'm sure you will enjoy hearing from them who they are, how did they end up doing what they're doing today, and Anthony, in your case, more about Thrive and your business. So let's get started. Olivia, I'm going to go first with you. Tell us about who is Olivia Molly Rogers, how did you end up being a creator, and why you're excited to be here today.
Thank you so much, Naysla, and thank you for having me. I fell into this space, I think. I actually started out as a speech pathologist and never had any intention of ending up in the social media space, but I think it was kind of a natural progression because I've always been an oversharer. I am a content creator, a podcaster, an author, and yeah, my sister has said that I've made a profession out of being an oversharer. I took out the title of Miss Universe Australia very unexpectedly in 2017, and then literally overnight I grew my audience by 40,000 people. So I suddenly had this platform and I had no idea what to do with it. And also people told me that it would be short-lived, that it wasn't really an industry that you could build a career out of, so I better make the most of it. And it's lucky that I had my degree to fall back on. But it has been 8 years now, and I think the industry, I've just seen it go from strength to strength, and personally it's been really exciting to see the growth and the opportunities and brands I've been able to work with. So to be here talking to people, so many impressive people from this industry is a real honour.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia, thank you. Khanh, over to you. A lot of people know you, but tell us more about your beginnings and about today being here.
For those who don't know me, I started on a show called MasterChef about 6 years ago. I lost. I then went on Survivor and lost that too. I went back on MasterChef again and lost for the second time, and then most recently was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. So that's kind of how I started working in content creation. I did a lot of TV off the back of those shows. I make a lot of cooking content. I love to cook, I love food. That led me into travel. That led me working with Amex in the lounge. It leads to a lot of opportunities. And I think food does that as well. It leads into a lot of different opportunities because everyone eats. Everyone wants to eat, everyone enjoys it. And I feel like it could be quite inspirational to watch like food and discover foods from different cultures, right? So that's how I kind of started my career. I love what I do. I get to eat, I get to talk about food, I get to cook food, and I get to travel. And it's all incredible. So I'm super appreciative to be here. And it's been amazing working with you. So we've known each other for about 4 years now, which has been
More
crazy.
than that.
More than that?
Yeah, I think it's about 6.
Okay, my contract's been for 4 years though, so.
we met before that. Okay. Good memories, all good memories. And Anthony, you're the CEO of Thrive. You bring brands and creators together. So tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the industry for 10 years, which is sort of coincides with almost the start of, I guess, creator marketing or influencer marketing, and it was as it was known back then. And Tribe and Jules Lane, you might be familiar with. I guess preparing for this session, it's so interesting because 10 years ago, you know, in an equivalent sort of event, we would have been tucked into the corner by the bathrooms at a off time, and you know, sitting here talking about why brands should hand over some of their marketing to unknown people on social media. And now today we're going to be talking about partnerships and sort of more advanced techniques and going into areas like measurement. So the development of the industry has just been phenomenal over that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Mas mentioned, I'm from American Express. We are huge believers in creators really amplifying your brand, creating content and culture and really experiences for their own audiences that sometimes the brand themselves cannot do. We have found it incredibly rewarding to not only to just have a creator that comes at that, does a one-off partnership with yourself, but really believe in the long-term relationships. And I love how a lot of the creators we work with, we get to really take the time to explain how our products work, give them our products so they can go and use them and truly believe in the product, because if they don't do it, I think it's very difficult for a brand and a creator to work together. But most importantly, we really appreciate as a brand that creators end up being our own feedback kind of sources, where they tell us, I think your product could be doing this, I think you're failing this, or you're missing this, or you could do more of this, or you're doing great here. So I am a massive believer, and this is probably why I'm so excited to be here. Anthony, I know we've spoken about this, you feel the same, right? And this is your probably everyday job, but you have done a lot of different partnerships. Talk to us about what are some of the best examples in those partnerships that you have brought to life between brand and creators, and why you think they work so well.
Yeah, look, I thought I'd start with something quite innovative, because I think most marketers are now really familiar with the marrying of a brand and a creator and what that can do for their brand. But we've built a program that instead of connecting brands with creators, we identify employees in their organisation. We train them how to become creators. So I'll show you an example of one of our clients, which is Big W. And this is a woman by the name of Dakota. She's on the retail floor. We built a program with Big W where we've got 50 of their retail employees around Australia, very regionally focused. And we train them on how to become creators. We plug them into our systems and our processes and our technology, and they begin to represent the Big W brand to audiences. And it's a very clear demonstration of how far the industry has come. When you think about your employees and how close they are to your customers, how well they know your brand and your products, and now they have the skills and capability to become creators. And that's actually based on the work of people like Khanh and Olivia, who have been producing really high quality content over years that people like Dakota have watched and listened to, and now she has the opportunity to represent a brand that she loves. This is a quote from her. And so successful has Dakota been that Big W have now turned her into a full-time creator. So she's now off the retail floor, she's working with the marketing team, producing content in store with her uniform on, and doing a really fantastic job.
I love this, and I don't think it's only Big W who has done that, but just that authenticity of their own employees talking about the brand and being there day in, day out, doing that job that they love and then bringing it to life to audiences. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Now, Olivia, I'm sure, I don't know if everyone here has done brand and creator partnerships, but if you haven't, maybe you can help everyone learn, how does it start? When is the moment that a brand approaches you? What does a modern creator partnership approach looks like?
It's changed so much in the last 8 years. I remember the first time I was sent a product and I was so excited about it. I put up a selfie with it straight away, and there was no brief from the brand and there were no real goals. It was just like, here's this free thing that I got, like everyone should try it. And I hadn't even tried it myself. I think I was just very passive at first, whereas now it's much more of an intentional thing.
When you say it's changed a lot, what period are we talking about?
Well, it's been 8 years since
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Since I started. And now I think from both the content creators and the brands, there's so much more intention and strategy behind it. I personally have people reaching out to my manager, which filters through things and makes it easier. But it just depends on the brand and the scope of the campaign. So it could be a one-off product that they want to promote. So then that might entail just one post. And it's as simple as them sending you the product or whatever it is, the brief. You fulfill the brief and you get paid, and that's that. But I think the partnerships that I prefer are the ones that have longevity, and they might be ones from 3 months to 6 months or 12 months. And that's where you really get to know the brand properly and they get to know you, and you can really work collaboratively to make it work for both of you. And I think the benefit of that is it's not only for the brand and the creator, but your audience really builds up that trust and they know that it's a brand that they can expect to see from you. I think if you're just flogging different brands left, right and centre, then your audience doesn't trust you, so they won't engage in your content. And those contracts now, they don't just involve, X amount of social media posts. It'll also be usage rights, event appearances, speaking opportunities. There might be media interviews, all sorts of things. And I like that. I like the variety in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touch on briefs, and that 8 years ago, there was no brief. Here is a product, just if you like it, go and talk about it, and that was it. I am obsessed with briefs, right, across all our agencies. It's like I always tell our agencies, and some of them are here, I can see Andy there, is if the brief is shit, don't take it, right? Like, just send it back to the marketer, because if you send a bad brief, you're going to get a bad result back from the agency. So I'm a massive believer and supporter of the agencies demanding good briefs. From a creator perspective, like, do you have any tips for marketers here into what is the minimum a creator expects to have on a brief?
I think the more detail, the better. It's hard if you come across a content creator who doesn't read briefs. I know there are a lot of them, but just maybe don't work with them. You want to find someone who's actually going to read the brief, and I am a nerd, so I will read it very thoroughly. And I think the don'ts are just important, if not more important than the do's.
That's great.
I love when a brand will have exact examples of the content that they want to see, and often now brands will actually put click-through links where you can see other content creators and see these examples, and then similarly they will say don't. So, whether it's bad lighting or poor quality videos, whatever it is, they're very specific about what they don't want to see, what they don't want you to wear, what they don't want in the background. And that can come across maybe as controlling a little bit, but I much prefer it because I want to get it right, and it's going to perform better for both of us if it is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that. Khanh, you have worked as a creator, and you're a chef yourself, across so many different industries. You've been in Survivor, you've been in MasterChef, right? Like, you really have done a lot. Olivia said the word trust and how important it is, and I think it's trust with authenticity. It's really believing in the person that is telling you something about a product. The session is all about chemistry between creators and brands. How do you bring that chemistry to life, and how do you know when the brand is right and that this is going to truly be an authentic partnership here?
I think a lot of the times for me, I'm lucky enough that I get to work with brands that I use or brands that I enjoy. I feel like I'm at that stage in my career where maybe earlier on you might take a job because you're like, oh, this is really cool that I get to do this. But now it's not like that. Now it's like, unless I use the product, unless it's a product that I love or a service that really does resonate with me, I don't promote it, because if I can't tell my mum to use it, how can I sell it to anyone else? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Agreed.
So I feel like that chemistry comes from the authenticity of the partnership itself and like your values, your ideals. A lot of the brands that I currently work with are brands that I work with for longer than a one-off situation. Most of my contracts now have been at least 3-4 years. And they've all re-signed for 1 or 2 or 24 months. And that's kind of what I'm after when I talk about longevity, but also that chemistry within the brands. Like, you get to know the brand gets to understand you. They then understand how you like to work, what content you make. But I also then get to understand the brand enough to be like, well, this is what you're trying to achieve. These are your goals. These are your objectives. We can then work together and make a piece of content that works for my audience, but still has your point of view there as well. So it gives you your mission. So that's kind of how it is for me. It's like I only choose to work with brands that I love. Yeah.
So, and that's fair, right? And you know the products, but what happens, and there might be someone here that is about to launch a product that we don't know, but they believe in the product. Is there an opportunity there? How does a new brand get creators? And it's not just sending the product and here you go and try it, but do you have any recommendations on how a new brand or a new product within a brand, doesn't have to be a new brand, make sure that creators they want to work with get to know that product?
A lot of the times I get offered a lot of partnerships, and if I haven't used the product, if you have a small timeline for me, to actually make the content, I'm probably not going to take the job.
Yeah.
I would prefer to use the product, especially when it's food or when it's bev. Like those two categories are so much about like my personal taste and how I use it, right? If it's not a good version of that product, I can't push it. So I think that if you're coming out with a new product, reach out still. But I will probably ask if I can use it, if you can just send it so I can try it, because I really can't push something. I think you would agree here, right? Like especially in like skincare, makeup, any of that stuff, you need to understand that like this product is actually doing the thing that it says it does. And so that I think that's the best thing that you could do. The other way that I feel like if I'm launching a new product, what I would do is let's say I have no like market share at all, and I'm trying to do something really new here. I would, probably not great for me to say this about myself, but I would look for, your micro-influencers, and I would actually go to market with maybe 20 micro-influencers, because what you're going to get back is a lot of feedback. You will get a lot of like information back at that point, rather than spending your entire budget on this one person that you have to rest the entire marketing budget on. You would go to a lot of micros, especially if you don't have that market share.
That's very valuable. And so I think if I was to summarize this, of course, there are different strategies, but if you are launching a new product and you want to work with specific creators, because you do believe also that they will really relate to your product, or you have the right audiences that we're seeking, is time, right? When you start to do your product development, like right from the beginning, don't think or don't leave your creator's strategy at the end, because you need time to get acquainted with that product. That's great. That's really
just jumping on
of
that
course.
one. Yeah, I think when you're coming up with the product and all of the planning, you need to have the content creators in mind as you're doing that. Like who can you envision with your product, and who can you imagine selling that product, and always keep that in mind. And definitely reach out, but make sure there's an agreement there, because I think if you get sent product, and I'm sure you've had this, if sometimes PR agencies get your address and then they just send you endless supplies of different products, and it won't cut through. Like, I'm less likely to try something unless they've reached out and said, we would love for Olivia to try this, we can see Olivia using this, and I've said, yeah, I'd love to accept it. Then I'm more likely to use it and try it, and then we might build a partnership down the track.
Because they thought of you,
Yeah.
and they thought of the process to reach to you.
Yeah.
That's great. And this is probably a good segue and flip, Anthony. I'm going to go to you. You have worked with large brands, medium brands, small brands. We all have, no matter the size of the brand, we all have brand guidelines, playbooks. What would you say is, how much should a brand play into, this is the do's and don'ts that we were talking about, but when is the moment where brands should not cross the line, right? That this is when we leave the creator to be themselves and to bring what they're going to bring to the brand. How does that work in terms of that gray line that exists there?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's necessarily a specific answer. I'll borrow a term from one of our clients, which is freedom within a frame. So really important, the frame is constructed, which comes from marketing, comes from legal, but the creator is given the freedom to operate within a frame and feels really comfortable doing so. Like 10 years ago, and when we were talking about the virtues of this industry, marketers would be clutching the brand really tight and really sort of being quite precise with what they wanted creators to do, and it would not lead to successful outcomes and obviously not long-term partnerships. But marketers have done an amazing job releasing that grip and letting creators do their thing. I think legal is probably 2 to 3 years behind, especially when we're talking to bigger brands, where there's a lot of sort of boundaries that need to be implemented. But the best cases are where you've got enough freedom and enough structure. I think crossing the line is not having that. It's putting restrictions, it's legal coming in and asking for too many things that aren't going to resonate with an audience. And it's also, I guess, a lack of collaboration. Like the creators are a really important part of the process.
Yeah.
So they need to provide input. Your partner, agency or otherwise, needs to provide input, your legal needs to provide input, and then the marketer needs to come bring that all together and keep evolving it, because no one content is going to do the job. And so it will move over time, and the feedback from the micro strategy or from your partner creators is always going to help you develop better content over time, again, within those boundaries that everyone is comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my experience, and there is many Team Amex colleagues here, is having also the right team that is going to be the approver through that creator, content, or whatever it is, right from the beginning. Because what I have seen in my career is you have, at the last second, one person that hasn't been really part of the journey that comes and says, I don't like this, I don't like that, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that, right? And it's like, too late. But that's, to me, is just like everyone that is going to have or take part on this project, we all together on this right from the beginning, which I think is very important. Thank you for that. Liv, we talk about authenticity, we thought about trust, we talk about building long-term relationships and not transactional relationships. Let's bring to life to the teams here, what are some of the best partnerships that you have done in your career?
I mean, I couldn't be here without talking about the American Express partnership, and I know you're going to say, you didn't pay me to say that. You
No,
definitely didn't pay me to
I
say
did
that.
not.
I feel like this has been one of the most perfect examples to me of a really collaborative relationship where I have a 12-month contract with you and there's deliverables in place, but you will provide a brief and then you listen to my feedback and then we work together to make sure it works. And we look back at things and how they performed and then take that on board and sort of adjust things moving forward. And I really like that. I think that's so important. It's not rigid, it's not set in stone. It's working with my audience and seeing what resonates to make sure that we get the best result. And I think having that understanding that you put the trust in me makes me want to go above and beyond. So, you know, I attend events with you and I'll stay well beyond. Also, that's so much fun. So it doesn't really feel like work, but it makes me want to do more for the brand. And I think that shows a really genuine, successful partnership when it is like that.
Thank you. Definitely didn't pay you to say that. Khanh, what about yourself, right? Partnerships that have clicked,
Yep.
and maybe, if you don't mind sharing when they have not clicked,
Yep.
and why.
Partnerships that have clicked are basically every partnership that I currently have, just because they've been really long term, so I've been very comfortable with them, spanning across Continental Foods to Diageo, which look after alcohol, and then Amex and Chemist Warehouse. But one that actually stands out to me because I didn't think that, I was very nervous about this one. I did a collaboration with Crown, a residency with Crown in Melbourne, where they had me come and take over a restaurant. And I own my own restaurant, but I haven't been in the kitchen like every single day for a while now. And I just was like, it's 120 seats. We have 11 sittings per week, over 3 weeks. And I was like, we're not going to sell it. We're not going to sell out. We're not going to sell out. And I just kept thinking that this was not going to work. My management were like, it's fine, it's going to be fine. And I said to them, I'm like, what happens if we don't sell out? She's like, just let it go. We launched, we sold it out in 24
Yay.
hours. And so like, we're talking 120 seats, right? Yeah. We're talking 11 sittings over like per week, over 3 weeks. So that was insane to me. But that again is a trust in my following and in my community. And this leads on to the collaborations that don't really work for me. My community and my following are actually probably my number one concern at all moments. Yeah. Everything that I do, it's like without people actually watching and caring about what I do, I don't get to do this stuff. I don't get to travel. I don't get to work with these amazing brands. I don't get to be here. So they are my number one priority. So when we get briefs sometimes, I feel as though sometimes brands want to throw really massive glitz and glamorous things at you, thinking that like, we're going to make this a moment that will get a lot of traction. But I think that sometimes it does the opposite of that. Liv and I were talking about this earlier yesterday, where we've both been invited before to go and have lunch. But to go to have that lunch, you would travel via private jet. And I was just kind of like...
On the same day.
On the same day.
On the same day. You would fly on a private jet to go to somewhere, have lunch, and then fly back. That to me seems so insane. I'm a refugee. Like, we didn't grow up with money. My audience are everyday Australians, right? That's not accessible to anyone, and doesn't even seem to me like it's something that you can look up to, that is even attainable. Like, that is so out of the realm of what anyone can do. How does that promote that brand in a good light? I don't think it does. So usually when I get something that I go, wait a minute, if I can't afford to do this, why am I pushing this whole thing, this whole narrative of how glamorous this is? Because it's kind of a slap in the face to people who follow me. I don't know, I just feel like for me, whenever I get those mega like crazy briefs about being like, this is the experience going to give you for doing this, this and that, I'm just like, no, we can't do that. Like, we just can't.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you're talking about your own values, what you believe in terms of what's right, what's not right. But if you look at the data that is available in terms, particularly with young generations like Generation C and younger millennials, they really care about the future of our planet.
Yeah.
They do want to acquire or interact with brands that are doing the right thing. So I completely agree with you, right? Like, if they see you jumping on a private plane for a day, right? Like, what's happening with the environment here and everything else. I can see that a lot of audiences, and as I said, particularly young audiences, they're going to question that, right? So it's incredible how much we have to think about. You're thinking of yourselves as creators, which is brilliant because you're protecting your brand. But equally the brands, right? I'm sure someone thinks it's a great idea to do that and to take you for that launch and showcase that experience, but just step back and think about, is this the right thing to do, and is this what people want to see, and what's the current economic climate, right? And just be very aware of the macro as much as the microeconomic environment. So thank you, that's incredibly helpful. Now, let's transition to measurement, because we cannot be in a marketing conference and not talk about measurement, right? That's very, very important for all of us. There is none of us marketers that these days can really just go and spend without having a purpose, an objective, a goal, and ultimately an ROI. So, Anthony, I might throw it to you. Again, working with multiple brands, what would you say is an ideal measurement framework that brands could leverage? I mean, hopefully you're going to go beyond likes and reach, right? That can't be the measurement anymore on creators. So what's your recommendation for this audience into how they should be thinking about this from a measurement perspective?
Yeah, it certainly has gone well beyond likes and comments and engagement. You know, the industry has matured so much. The clients that we work with, who are the strongest, I guess, practitioners of this category, are thinking full funnel marketing from the start, and that's the reality that the category is capable of. It's not a sort of plug and play category. So every creator is different, every piece of content is different, and it takes time to work through the full funnel. But it amazes me how many marketers are still not thinking in those terms, and they are thinking of, I just need 10 or 20, we'll just add this to our budget, and we'll tick the box of creator marketing. Whereas there are really strong examples, and as I said, the best clients we work with come in and give us what's the business problem, or what's the marketing objective that we're trying to achieve here? And we build a strategy, and we gather insights, and we learn as we go, and we start at the top, and then we bring people through consideration phase. We can test for consideration. We can see if audiences are engaging with the content, seeing the content, responding positively to the content through surveys and various other devices. And then you move to the bottom of the funnel. Paid media is pretty much a necessary component of creator marketing these days. It doesn't have to be applied to everything, but when you do apply it, it opens up a whole world of opportunity in regards to measuring clicks to websites, sign-ups, sales, downloads, whatever it might be. And so it needs to be a part of your creator strategy if you really want to engage in this channel effectively. You know, we are all under pressure from a marketing budget's point of view. So every dollar has to work. And I think the development of creator marketing has really moved away from just putting content out there and measuring likes and shares and these things which are important at the top of the funnel, but it is so much more capable than that, and certainly, you know, outperforms a lot of other channels that you may not think about.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, and I mentioned before, there's a few Team Amex here, and we've been working for the last, I'm going to say like just over 10 months on a new full funnel model. And the team has been able now, and our media agency is also here, and they've been now able to measure through the funnel conversion of acquisition, so conversion of new customers coming into American Express, completely directly related to the creator content and performance, which I think is just phenomenal technically how we have evolved to be able to truly measure the impact. So, and that remains very important, but what I will say, however, is what we talked about before and the relationship that we have built, and is the compound effect, right?
Yeah, well, you can't do any of that without having a trusted relationship with someone who can work with you. You can brief them differently to talk to different stages of the customer journey as well. But partnership.
100%, but like I don't want to leave it that we all leave this room thinking it's all about the ROI, because it is about the ROI, but the ROI on the relationship that you build for the long term is infinite, right? Like, and it takes time. Like we've been working for a number of years with yourselves and many other creators, and it takes time to really build this and grow it. So there is the ROI that hits your PTI, your profit line, but there is the ROI that hits your connection and your humanity and who we are as marketers. And we should always have the balance of the two. Now, that's great from us, kind of from the brand perspective, but Olivia, would love to hear from you. When you get these briefs, there's obviously now some goals that are there, but what's your own measurement framework? How do you finish that partnership going, I achieved this, and that? Do you have something that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to not get caught up in likes and engagement and how people respond online, but every day is different. The algorithm is a pain in the ass, and it won't always land in that way. So you definitely have to measure it in other ways. And for me, if I feel like I have nailed the brief and made the client happy with the product, and I feel proud of it, proud enough to put it out there, that's a measurement for success for me, I think also if the client comes back to me and wants to keep working with me, then that's a pretty good sign of success as well. But then also, like Khanh, my audience is so important. I'm nothing without my audience. So making sure that it is resonating with them and that they are respecting and resonating with what I'm doing, and it's the messages behind the scenes. A lot of people don't actually comment, but they will send me messages saying, I love this, or I went and tried this because of you. So it's the feedback behind the scenes that I also find really important.
And what happens if you have any negative comments, which we have seen, right? The trolls, they do exist. How do you manage that? And I know you partner with the brand to manage that. But from your perspective, do you have any experience in managing comments that are actually quite negative?
Yeah, I've got filters. I've blocked certain words, so people can't troll with certain words. So there's that. But I also do listen to feedback. It depends on what it is. If it's someone really rogue commenting that they hate my eyebrows, like I'm not going to listen to that. That happens a lot. But I like my eyebrows, so like that's okay.
I want her eyebrows.
But sometimes if it is someone who's taken the time to send me quite a lengthy message, and this happens a bit in DMs, and they've said, I respect you and I've been following you for a while, but I didn't really like when you did this thing for these reasons. I'm going to listen to that because they are the people that I'm trying to connect with, and if it's not landing for whatever their reason is, I think it's something to take on board, and you've got to be changing, you've got to be flexible, and you've got to change with the times as well. Like 5 years ago, I wasn't doing any video content, and then suddenly Reels came about, and I'm like, I don't know how to talk to camera like this. This is so hard. But you have to move with it, and you have to, you can't hold too much. People's comments can't hold too much weight, because I wouldn't post anything if that was the case, because you always get negativity. But at the same time, I do think you need to take it on board and listen to your audience.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Khanh?
For me, it's definitely the client coming back. That is how I measure if our partnership has been successful. And sometimes it's not even just the direct client, but it could be the agency that looked after a certain client. So that repeat work. I think with us, we started on a very small job. It was like, we need a chef to just do a little refresh. And it was like a one-off thing that became a 6-month thing, and then a year thing, and then
Is this the airport lounges?
Yeah, it was-
and
yeah, yes.
we wanted a wonderful chef to
Yeah.
come and make our airport lounges,
Yeah.
like the food particularly,
But
a lot more attractive, right?
I think at the time it was only like a portion of the lounge where it was like, this is Cairns special menu for this, for like the 3 months.
Oh,
And-
right, yes. Yeah.
And then it became, now Cairns does that and it overlooks the Bain Marie's, and now it's become a whole across all the food in the lounge. And then that grew to us hosting events together and travelling and doing all of the other work together, doing Delicious Month Out, and then Grand Prix. It's just grown and grown and grown, which to me says that you're happy or Amex are happy and I'm happy. And so that's how I measure that. And that's the same with, again, Continental, Diageo. My other one is, a lot of the content that I make is cooking. It's recipes.
Yeah.
So that's how I measure if my audience likes it, if they cook it. Because why am I making recipes every day if no one's cooking it, no one's at home making it? So when people are like, oh, this has become part of my rotation, or my kids love to make this with me, that is when I know, okay, this landed, this hit, this does well.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it, absolutely. So it's the action also
Yeah.
from the audiences. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 minutes left, and Anthony, I'm gonna probably try to close with you unless anyone else wants to add anything. But if you were to give any recommendation to the audience, like that they wanna think about the creator strategy, where should they start?
Look, I think it's having a more open mind to what's possible from the category. You know, it is up there as a performance channel now. It still involves people and it still involves building relationships and collaboration. But what can come out of the industry is really, really strong. We are seeing, I think we heard earlier from Mel about, you know, the duopoly of Google and Facebook being 70% of marketing budgets, but we are seeing customers start to recognise that you can't just plug a still image into Facebook anymore and expect it to be 70% of your marketing. So there's a lot of capability when you engage in a proper strategy, when you build proper partnerships with all people involved in the process, and then think about it through a full funnel perspective.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if we have time for questions or not, or no? Okay, we don't have time for questions. I'm really sorry, but I don't know who's going for drinks. We will be there, and if you have any questions, feel free to come and ask us. And again, thank you for inviting us. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to this wonderful, wonderful panel.